Seniors, if you've ever been jolted awake in the middle of the night by a sudden, searing leg cramp, the kind that makes you freeze in agony, this message is for you. For years, pharmaceutical companies have sold pills, rubs, and prescriptions promising relief. But behind closed doors, researchers have quietly uncovered something much simpler and much more effective. There are 3 powerful vitamins and minerals that don't just ease cramps. They restore lost muscle strength, improve mobility, and in many cases, make seniors feel decades younger. The problem? These nutrients are cheap, unpatented, and therefore buried under layers of medical jargon and marketing distraction. Recent data suggests that nearly 8 out of 10 adults over 60 are deficient in at least one of these key nutrients. The result? Nighttime cramps, muscle tremors, balance issues, and progressive leg weakness. But today, we'll uncover what the science actually says, the truth that could change your daily life. Everything you're about to hear is backed by peer-reviewed studies and real clinical evidence. And by the end, you'll know which vitamins restore strength fastest, how much you need, and how to take them properly for maximum effect. Let's begin with the one that's most often ignored, but could change everything. Vitamin D, the power switch inside every muscle. Let's start with something that happens every single day. Something so ordinary most people never think about it. When sunlight touches your skin, something miraculous begins. Your body doesn't just warm up or get a tan. Instead, it starts a complex chemical process. The ultraviolet rays from the sun penetrate your skin, and your body converts them into vitamin D3, a powerful hormone that travels through your bloodstream like a messenger carrying vital instructions. This vitamin D3 locks onto special receptors found in nearly every cell in your body. If you think about it like an electrical system, these receptors are like ignition switches, and your muscle cells are absolutely covered with them. Here's what happens when vitamin D isn't available. Those switches never turn on. Your muscles lose their coordination. The signals from your brain get confused. Instead of smooth, controlled contractions followed by complete relaxation, your muscles misfire. They cramp. They seize. They do exactly what you don't want them to do. A major research study conducted at the University of Zurich followed nearly 250 seniors over the course of 2 full years. The researchers divided them into 2 groups. One group had healthy levels of vitamin D. The other group had deficient levels. When they tracked their leg cramps over time, the difference was striking. Those with low vitamin D levels experienced cramps 3 times more frequently than those with healthy levels. They were literally cramping 3 times as often, sometimes multiple times per week or even multiple times per day. Then something interesting happened. The researchers gave the low vitamin D group a supplement, just 2,000 IU of vitamin D3 daily. Not a massive amount, just a small pill taken once a day. In 2 months, their cramp frequency dropped by more than 65%. Think about that. If someone was cramping 6 times a week, they were now cramping maybe twice a week, in just 8 weeks. But there's more. Their measured leg strength jumped by 35%. Their muscles actually got stronger. How does this work exactly? Well, vitamin D does something most people don't realize. It doesn't just regulate calcium in your bloodstream. It controls how calcium moves in and out of your muscle cells themselves. When calcium builds up inside a muscle cell, because it can't get out properly, the muscle gets locked in a state of contraction. It stays squeezed. This is the very mechanism behind most leg cramps. Vitamin D is like the valve that opens and closes to let calcium flow in and out at just the right pace, keeping everything balanced. On top of that, vitamin D also activates genes that build new muscle fibers. So if your legs have suffered from years of disuse or fatigue, which is common as we age, vitamin D actually helps repair that damage. It's like giving your muscles the blueprint to rebuild themselves. So what's the catch? Why don't we all have enough vitamin D? The answer is aging. As we get older, our skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from the same amount of sunlight. We're not just talking about a 10% decrease. We're talking about our skin producing up to 75% less vitamin D from the exact same sun exposure. Add to that the fact that many people spend limited time outdoors these days, and when they do go outside, They use sunscreen, which, while great for preventing skin cancer, also blocks the ultraviolet rays your body needs to make vitamin D. The result? Deficiency becomes almost inevitable. The solution is straightforward. You need a daily intake of 2,000 to 4,000 IU of vitamin D3, preferably taken with a meal that contains healthy fats. Why with fat? Because vitamin D is fat-soluble, meaning your body absorbs it better when there's fat present. Some natural foods like salmon, sardines, and egg yolks contain vitamin D and are excellent choices. But here's the honest truth. For most seniors, supplements remain the most reliable source because you can control the dose exactly and be sure you're getting what you need. Consider Margaret, a 72-year-old from Minnesota. She'd been dealing with leg cramps for years. They were worst at night, almost nightly, reliably hitting her as soon as she'd get comfortable in bed. She'd toss and turn, massage her legs, and spend half the night miserable. Then she started taking vitamin D3 with her breakfast. It's such a simple habit, but within 6 weeks, something remarkable happened. Her cramps went from nightly to once a week. By the 3-month mark, they were completely gone. Margaret later reflected on the change, and what she said is important. I didn't just stop cramping. I felt like my legs came back to life. She wasn't just experiencing the absence of pain. She felt like her legs had regained their vitality, their strength, their aliveness. That's what vitamin D does. It's not just about stopping the cramps. It's about restoration. If vitamin D is the power switch that turns on your muscles, the next vitamin is the wiring that actually delivers the electricity. Vitamin B12, the electrical wiring of your muscles. Think about your body as a complex electrical system. Your brain wants to communicate with your muscles. It sends signals down your nerves saying contract or relax. But these nerve signals are fragile. They travel down your nerves, and those nerves need protection, just like electrical wires need insulation. That's where vitamin B12 comes in. B12 maintains a myelin sheath, which is like a protective coating wrapped around your nerves. Imagine electrical wires stripped of their insulation. The signal gets scrambled, it shorts out, it behaves unpredictably. The same thing happens with your nerves when B12 is low. Without adequate B12, the signals from your brain to your legs become scrambled and confused. That's when something strange starts happening. Your muscles contract unexpectedly. They spasm randomly. Or sometimes they fail to respond at all when you want them to move. It's like the communication line between your brain and your muscles has too much static on it. Research from Tufts University uncovered something surprising. They found that nearly 40% of adults over 60 have B12 levels that are low enough to cause genuine nerve symptoms. Here's the kicker. Many of them had blood tests that came back saying that B12 was normal, but their levels were still low enough to cause problems. Those who were deficient were 80% more likely to experience chronic cramps and reported significant muscle weakness. In a study where researchers gave seniors 1,000 micrograms of methylcobalamin, which is the active, bioavailable form of B12, every single day, the results appeared relatively quickly. In just 12 weeks, muscle control improved by 45%. People had better coordination, more stable legs, and fewer unexpected contractions. Why does methylcobalamin work so well? Here's something important. The standard form of B12 from food requires your stomach to produce enough acid to break it down so you can absorb it. But here's what happens as we age. Older adults produce significantly less stomach acid than younger people. So even if you're eating plenty of B12-rich foods, your body might not be absorbing it properly. Methylcobalamin bypasses this whole process. It enters directly into the bloodstream. It doesn't need your stomach acid to work. It just gets to work right away. This is a crucial advantage for older adults whose digestive systems aren't processing food the way they used to. The transformation can be dramatic. Take Robert, who was 68 years old. He described his legs with a metaphor that probably resonates with many people who deal with severe weakness. My legs felt like they were made of jelly. He couldn't climb stairs. He'd start up a staircase and have to stop halfway, exhausted and weak, his legs barely holding his weight. After just 2 months of taking B12 supplements, something shifted. He could climb stairs again, without needing to stop in the middle. By the 6-month mark, his cramps had disappeared entirely. His wife noticed something important too, something you can't measure in a lab test. She said he walked like himself again. There was a spring back in his step, a confidence, a normalcy that he'd lost over the years without even realizing it. Now, you can get B12 from food sources like beef liver, clams, and salmon. Fortified cereals also contain it. But for most seniors, the most efficient way to restore optimal B12 levels is through sublingual tablets or sprays that you place under your tongue. These bypass your stomach entirely and get absorbed directly through the tissues in your mouth. The ideal range is between 500 and 1,000 micrograms daily. This ensures your nerves have the protection they need and your signals travel clearly from your brain to your muscles. Magnesium, the mineral that unlocks relaxation. Now we reach the nutrient that ties everything together. Technically, it's not a vitamin, but it might be the single most important element for actually stopping leg cramps. Magnesium is remarkable in how many jobs it does inside your body. It plays a role in over 300 different biochemical reactions. Most importantly, the vast majority of these reactions are directly related to muscle and nerve function. It's almost like magnesium is the worker bee of your body. It's involved in nearly everything that makes your muscles work properly. Here's what happens when you're deficient in magnesium. Your muscles stay in a state of partial contraction. They're never fully relaxed. They're always tensed up, always on edge, always just one small signal away from seizing up completely. It's like walking around with your shoulders hunched up to your ears all day. Eventually, your muscles are just going to cramp. A major 5-year study published in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society is worth paying attention to. The researchers follow more than 4,000 older adults. They track their magnesium levels and their leg cramps. The difference between those with low magnesium and those with normal levels was almost shocking. People with low magnesium had leg cramps 7 times more often than those with normal levels. If someone with normal magnesium was having a cramp once every 2 weeks, someone with low magnesium was cramping once every 2 days. Then they did something interesting. They gave half of the group magnesium citrate, 400 milligrams daily. In just 6 months, cramps dropped by 86%. That's a massive reduction. And it wasn't just about the cramps stopping. Leg strength rose by 58%. People were genuinely stronger. Why does magnesium work so well? Because it literally tells your muscles to relax. Here's the science. When a muscle gets a signal to contract, calcium floods into the muscle cell. But for the muscle to relax, calcium needs to leave the cell. Magnesium is what pushes that calcium out. It resets the contraction cycle and resets the electrical signals. It also rebuilds ADP, which is your body's energy currency, the fuel that powers literally everything your cells do. Without enough ADP, even walking short distances can feel absolutely exhausting. You feel drained. You feel weak. You feel like you're carrying a heavy weight. So what's gone wrong? Why are so many people deficient in magnesium? The answer starts with the soil. About 50 years ago, soil was much richer in magnesium. When plants grow, they pull magnesium from the soil. We eat the plants and get magnesium. It's a natural cycle, but modern agriculture has depleted our soil. Today, our soil contains up to 40% less magnesium than it did in the 1970s. So even if you're eating the same foods your grandparents ate, those foods contain less magnesium. Add to that the fact that older adults have poorer absorption of magnesium in their digestive systems, and many medications actually deplete magnesium from your body. The combination means that deficiency becomes almost guaranteed if you're not specifically supplementing. The best natural food sources include spinach, pumpkin seeds, almonds, and this might surprise you, dark chocolate. But most seniors need 400 to 600 milligrams of magnesium daily. The best forms are magnesium glycinate or magnesium citrate. Importantly, you should divide your dose into 2. Take some in the morning and some in the evening. This keeps your level steady throughout the day and night. Consider Eleanor, a 75-year-old grandmother. Her leg cramps were so severe that she actually dreaded going to sleep. Every night meant the possibility of being jolted awake, by searing pain. It was affecting her quality of life. She felt trapped by her own body. Then she started taking magnesium glycinate, a simple supplement with mild, pleasant form of magnesium that's easy on the stomach. Within weeks, something shifted. The cramps that had been her nightly companion started disappearing. Within 3 months, Eleanor was sleeping through the night pain-free. But the real miracle came after that. For the first time in years, she was gardening again, not just walking around or sitting down, actually gardening, getting her hands in the soil, planting flowers, doing the activities she loved. Her legs felt strong enough. They felt reliable. They felt like her own again. So now you understand how these 3 nutrients work. Vitamin D is the power switch. B12 is the wiring. Magnesium is the mineral that tells your muscles to relax. Together, they form a complete system. If you want to address your leg cramps, here's what to do. Start with a daily vitamin D3 supplement of 2,000 to 4,000 IU, taken with a meal containing healthy fats. This reactivates those ignition switches in your muscle cells. Add a B12 supplement, either sublingual tablets or spray, containing between 500 and 1,000 micrograms daily. This repairs a protective coating on your nerves and restores clear communication between your brain and your legs. Finally, take magnesium glycinate or citrate, 400 to 600 milligrams daily, split between morning and evening. This helps your muscles truly relax and resets your body's energy system. You don't need to do anything dramatic or complicated. You just need to give your body the raw materials it needs to work properly. Within weeks, you might notice your cramps decreasing. Within months, you might feel like your legs have come back to life. Within 6 months, you might find yourself gardening, climbing stairs, or sleeping through the night without interruption. The solution has been available this whole time. Your body just needed the right tools to work with.